stories of citations piling up and then disappearing. Can't do that. Secondly, I think that we would pass some ordinances that say, look, we've got to hurry and hasten the procedure. Then I would go to the people. I believe in that very strongly. I really do. I would hold, for example, you may like this, I would hold press conferences immediately after a council meeting, like we do with the Board of Trustees, immediately. And I would hold all kinds of press conferences. I don't mind doing that. I enjoy doing it. And I would go to the people, and I would share that problem with them. Because we have to build a consensus that there are groups in this town who gain from this sort of behavior, who gain from no change in what we're doing so long as you leave us alone. We can't do that. We cannot continue. You know, in many ways, this is probably the most crucial election Carbondale will have had in a long time or in the future. A new mayor, probably 3, maybe 4 new councilmen. Problems galore, difficulties all over the place, and decisions are going to be made for generations to come. And we're at a turning point, by the way. You know, I would say that Mayor Cole was a transition mayor in this respect. Previous mayors had hands off, and that's power groups ran the city any way they wanted to. They just did it. Cole came in and put his hands on and made a difference. I would not do it that way. I'm not a micromanager. Mostly macro, but I will look at the broad issues and we'll deal with them. This community needs to know that unless it changes some of its patterns of behavior, I'm not talking generically, we're not going to get anywhere. That so long as my good friend Bob Butler is eating our lunch every day, we're not going to get anywhere. We just aren't. And they need to know that. I can say that because Bob and I had dinner this past weekend, and we go at it, and I like him very much. But it's true. Even he says it. Come on. In a weekend moment. He'll start by saying, well, first it's the region. I said, oh, you're talking to me. I know. But they are eating our lunch over there. And it's no accident that we have about 65 to 70,000 people come to Carbondale every day, and a very large number of them leave Carbondale that same day. We are happy they're here because they do contribute to our economy. But we'd like to have them here, to stay here. And to do that, this city has to change. Some of the decisions that we're going to have to make are going to be very difficult. There's going to have to be some sacrifices, so long as people share them, and they have to be shared. No one group is going to take the burden of all of it. They are not going to make sure, we have to make sure that doing the same thing that we've always done in the hope that the outcome will be different this time isn't going to work, and it's going to lead us into a very, very bad ending. I am willing, and I tell you, I won't wait too long before I address the city and say, guys, unless you stand up and unless you do certain things, we have some terrible things coming. And I'll lay them out for you. You know, I presented 2 State of the University addresses, and I laid out before the university faculty and or the staff where we were going and what we were going to do, and I would intend to do that. So this is the time, because of the changing that's going on, to make sure that this community is aware that it is in a very tenuous situation. And unless we make some very dramatic changes, it's not going to work.
One of the things that you notice if you drive around Carbondale is there's what appears to be a high number of really run-down, dilapidated properties that probably are more suitable for condemnation. And if I have to name a poster child for the worst of the worst, it would have to be the Crossing.
Yes, just go down the street here. I know.
It's just unbelievable. What would you do as mayor to do something about the crossing and about all the dilapidated buildings that really ought to be taken down.
First, let's talk about the crossing. I took a tour of the crossing. I've never seen anything like that. Raw sewage coming onto streets that are unpaved, garbage lying around. And my initial reaction was to tear the place down. And then it occurred to me, then what do you do with all these people here? Where do they go? That's very serious. It's not simply a matter of let's fix up these houses. It's a matter of saying what happens to the people. I'm not sure I know yet how to solve that problem. These are people who work in Chester. What is that big company in Chester? It's Gloucester.
Yeah.
And I'm told that they all work over in Chester. First thing I would do is find out who owns the place. I don't know who owns it. Now, why we took it, I suspect there are political reasons, but why Carbondale took it, I have no idea. I know the county couldn't handle it. It belonged to them. We've got it, and we've got to do something about it. First thing to do is find the owner or owners, wherever they may be, and sit down with them and say, look, we can't tolerate this. And we'll keep giving you citations until we're going to break you. You've got to do something. And I would have no hesitancy whatsoever to go after it. And I guess I would do that with a lot of landlords that we have. I have already fought a battle with them when I chaired the Human Relations Commission, and I was astonished. Students came to us and they complained that whenever they broke something or whenever something went wrong in the building, the landlord would simply assess them an amount that he made up out of his head. And they said, we don't know how much, whatever, he just said, you owe me. Well, they said, what we would like is let him give us a list of the costs of fixing this place. So I said, that's a good idea. We went to the council, and the council changed it. From that moment, you have no idea the resistance that we received, that I received personally, because I chaired the commission, from people who really came at me, and it became nasty, ethnic, all that kind of stuff. And to this day, they feel that. As a matter of fact, they put one of their own on the Human Relations Commission to watch me. They got the mayor to appoint him, and his job was to watch me, to make sure. Well, we never had another issue with it that came up, so the poor guy left. He said, there's nothing going on. We cannot be afraid. Neither can we allow the special interest groups to control it. We just can't. You get a citation, you pay it. You don't let it accumulate. You don't fix it later.
What can you do to bring in some new housing? It looks like the city has a shortage of appropriate housing for professional families, technology families, people that aren't CEO at the CEO level, but are heading in that direction.
See, we are bringing in. It's just a mile and a half out. There's some beautiful houses going up, and they're outside the city. And, so we are bringing them. The issue is, it's there. We just got to bring it into the city. But I think it's kind of one depends on the other. You bring in the people who create the demand for the housing, and I suspect we lose people because they are demanding and they're not getting. I think that we need to very seriously look at that. I personally would look at it. We can't grow this city unless we bring those people in. We can't grow this city unless we grow the population. And that's not just students. Shut up.
What is the proper relationship between SIUC and the city? Was it a good idea for the city to get involved in Saluki Way? And I know it's a done deal, but
Yes.
Where do you sit on that stuff?
Yes, let me take Saluki Way, and I've taken a lot of beatings on this on the House things. Let me talk about that. You know, as you look around the country, there are many cities investing millions of dollars in building stadiums. Their own money. The guy in Dallas got about $200 or $300 million, and he could have built it himself.
Jerry Jones.
Yeah, but cities say this is an investment. And if you look at Saluki Way as an investment and don't look at the one-loss record of the basketball team or the size of the population, it is an investment. For example, in construction, we had about 400 jobs in construction. At a very bad time, when it was badly needed. Over 2/3 of the tickets that are sold are purchased by people outside of Carbondale. So we bring people into the city. Anecdotally, restaurants and bars tell us that on a game day, they are full. So we are creating an economy. And let me tell you one other thing that we learned. You know, we've been trying to sell a naming right. Name the stadium, and nobody was buying. And we couldn't figure this out until somebody was kind enough to point out the problem. He said, how many people come through the stadium here in a given year? Well, let's see, there's 6 football games, 6 times, maybe 90,000. You want me to give you millions of dollars to name a stadium that sits empty? Crazy? How many people go to your arena? I say, well, it's better. He says, but still, it's empty all day. Why would I put money into a place that nobody's going to? Well, that's an awakening. Because when I was chancellor, I remember we had a fight between the athletics department and the people in Shryock. Shryock wanted the arena because they want to put programs on there and also the stadium, and the athletics would love it. Now they're beginning to see that they need Shryock. Shryock just put in, what's his name? Kenny Rogers. The more of those that we do, the more viable those things become. So it's our own fault, and it's our own inability to see what we have constructed here. We have developed a jam in both of those facilities. We just aren't smart enough to know how to use them, and that's the problem.
In conjunction with that, Sam, you know, we just got through witnessing Murfreesboro and others go to regional, super regional basketball and all this other. What can the city do to bring some of those type of events to SIU? Is it working through SIU athletic department? Why is this not being conducted?
When I was president of the Carbondale Convention Tourism, we reached out to tournaments in baseball during the summer, to teams, and we got them here. Many of them came here in the summer to have baseball tournaments and other. The difficulty we have is that we are too far away for the high school stuff, and they don't want to come here. And we have to persuade them to come here. I think that the other is simply the outreach that we make. When I was chancellor, I was also on the board that ran the Missouri Valley thing, the president's group. And they were talking about this. And I couldn't help but say this. I said, do you guys have a marquee player anywhere? And they said, what are you talking about? And I said, have you got a marquee player that people want to come and see? Well, we talked to her. No. Is there a marquee player here on our campus? Nobody, anybody wants. We had them. And when we had them, we filled the place. And people came here. Part of it is our own fault to find we tried to find some marquee players who are the wrong ones, I guess. But nevertheless, people want to go watch marquee players. They don't have them. Now, they talk about blue-collar basketball players and so on. Blue-collar basketball players also marquee players. We've had them here. Partially, it's our own fault. I really believe that we have not been smart enough and sharp enough to be able to pull this off. And I said that about the Missouri Valley. I said to the Missouri Valley president, I said, you name me a marquee player in the Valley. And they named a couple, Carver and a couple others. Yeah, okay, so how many times do they play? How many times are you going to see them? But we don't have them here. We really don't.
What we have is a marquee facility.
Well, but you know, the only facility people will pay to go to see is Wrigley Field. I go there just because of Wrigley Field. I don't watch the baseball. Who cares? And I believe that. They won't go see Jerry Jones. That's a ho-hum. Wrigley Field is an experience. And that's the only, they'll go see that. I go to see the stadium. And especially when, what's his name? Who sang Take Me Out? Harry Carey. We all went to see that. That's the point. You know, they knew how to market this. I'm sorry, we simply do not have the skills to be. Is that going out over this thing?
Yeah.